Okay, festive turkey and cranberry pie, and this one's also got a nice stuffing filling, as you've probably seen from the thumbnail shots. The star of the show is turkey, which we should all have in abundance at this time of year, or pretty soon we will have. So this is a good one for Thanksgiving turkey leftovers, or Christmas turkey leftovers if you're in the United Kingdom. The star of the show, of course, is turkey. I've got about 600 grams, about 400 grams of breast meat and about 200 grams of thigh meat, roughly those quantities. I've got 120 grams of stock, but you can use water. I've used turkey stock because I've got it in abundance right now. And 56 grams of lard. You can use lard substitutes like Crisco, but you'll get the best results with lard. I've got some baking beans because I want to do some blind baking here of my pastry case. And to that end I've got 250 grams of plain all-purpose flour. I've got some salt, got some pepper. I've got two crusty rolls over here. Sorry, these are two soft brown rolls, but what I'll do with these is I'm going to grind them up and make my stuffing out of those. You can also get some packet sage and onion stuffing and make it up according to the instructions on the packet. I prefer to make my own, so to that end I've got these rolls. I've got half a brown onion down here, and I've got some nice dried sage. I'm going to be making some gravy for the pie, so I've got 1 cup 250 mils of turkey stock again, and I'm going to be making the gravy in a minute. And the only thing missing off this table is cranberry sauce. You're going to need about 250 mils or a decent sized jar of cranberry sauce. My brother is out frantically trying to buy some for me right at this moment in time. So I think what I'll do is I'll get on and make the gravy. The gravy is fairly simple to make, but we'll show you that as we go. Alright, I want to be making a fairly thick gravy here, so I'm just going to get some oil into my pan. A couple of tablespoons of oil and a tablespoon of ordinary flour. That goes in. Get that stirring around. Very simple to make this gravy. And what you want to do is you want to keep that going for a minute. Well, about half a minute, but just keep stirring it. You don't want it to brown. That's what you don't want it to do. So you just want to get it like that, just for about half a minute to a minute. Keep it moving. You can do this over high or medium heat. And then once it starts to go slightly off-white in colour, then you can go in with your stock. You can put it all in, or you can just put a bit in at a time like I'm doing, and then keep it moving, keep it stirring. See how it's going? Lovely. Thickening up nicely, but you keep it moving to stop lumps forming in it, and we end up with this nice gravy. So it's really that simple. And what you do is you keep this stirring now to get the lumps out of it, and if you like you can go in there with a whisk and just whisk it up until it's nice and smooth. But really it's as simple as that. All the seasoning is in the stock, because what I did when I stripped all the meat off the bone, I threw the bones back into my slow cooker, and then I cooked it for a couple of hours, turned it off, left it overnight, and then I've heated it up all up again today until it's hot, and now I can use the stock like this for my lovely gravy. So we get that coming back up to heat, and you end up with a nice consistency gravy like that. Now the thing about having a nice fairly thick gravy is it really sets, because this is a picnic pie and we eat this pie cold. a lot of the moisture in the gravy will be absorbed by the chicken breast, which is inherently dry, and it will help bind the pie filling so that it doesn't fall apart when you cut it. And that's kind of where we want to go with this, because there's lots of bones, lots of skin in that gravy, so it will jellify, and it'll jellify nicely. So there we are, nice turkey gravy ready to go, and I'll let that, and that will thicken slightly as it cools down. So you just want to make sure it cooks out, and you simmer it for a couple of minutes and then turn it off, rather like I've done here. So that's the gravy out of the way. The next thing we need to concentrate on is the pastry. So here you'll see I actually filtered that stock through a tea strainer so I didn't get too many bits in it, and that's because the bits don't really matter in the gravy, but they do in the pastry. So I filtered them out, and all I really want to do is bring that up to heat to melt. That's done now. Is to melt the lard in with the stock. Now, like I said, you can use water in the stock, but why not have more flavour? More flavour in the pastry, more flavour everywhere, right? So let's get this. I'll put a well inside that, and then straight in with the hot mixture, and then we get that all stirred in to make our pastry. You don't want to handle this with your hands straight away because that's super hot right now, but don't worry about it. This is an extremely forgiving pastry to work with. It's really easy to work with. If you've seen my other pie videos, you'll know exactly what I mean, because it is quite an easy dough to work with. It's more like a kind of a putty, really. It's really easy to mould, like clay, and but you've got to wait until it's past the burn your fingers stage before that becomes viable. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave that to sit for a minute or two, punch a few holes in it like that so that it cools down nicely, and then I can give it a bit of kneading. And again, it's a forgiving dough, it doesn't matter how much you knead it. Okay, Richard arrived like the Lone Ranger on his white steed, along with some cranberry sauce. I asked for 250 ml, so he's bought me two 190 gram jars of it, which will be plenty for this job. So I'll just put those out the way for now, and then we can concentrate on the stuffing. Right, first thing you want to go in here, and what I did is I just left these on top of my my slow cooker lid to dry up a little bit, so they're nice and dry. You can use dry stale bread for this, no real problem, but these were perhaps a little bit too fresh. So there we go, we get that in there. I don't know how that happened, but that got damp. That goes there. Probably a splash from the sink, eh? And then you can do this with just four slices of any kind of bread you like, whatever. Just if you've got some sourdough bread, any kind of bread you've got, just use it for this. It's not a problem. And it makes some breadcrumbs, not exactly panko because they're made a very special way, but something that looks a bit close. And then we just get all that into the food processor. I'll take that away now, whiz it up, spare you the noise, and then get back to you. Okay, so there you go. I've ground it up, not too fine, it's not necessarily at this stage. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a good teaspoon, I think, of my sage. In fact, I like it quite herby, so I'm going to put in two heaped teaspoons of dried sage. I'm also going to put in some onion, so that's about half a medium-sized brown onion, chopped up. It's going to need a pinch of salt because it is a kind of force meat, so make sure you season it. Season it as much as you like. I like lots of pepper because I can, and because it's a force meat. I'm going to season it yet again. It makes sense, boys and girls. It makes sense. You use exactly as much pepper as you like. That's your thing, you know. Right. Let's get that back on the food processor and give it a whiz. So that's it. I've given it a whiz. You'll see the onion starting to break up. And as I squeeze it, it's packing, but it's breaking up quite easily. So what I need to do is get a little bit of moisture in there. So all I'm going to add is about 2 tablespoons of my stock to that. You can also add a bit of water, but stock, more flavour in the pie. So there we are. That's, as it packs now, it doesn't break up so easy. So it's a nice, quite a nice stuffing, and that's ready to go in the pie. So I like it like that, with nice bits of chunky onion in it, plenty of sage, salt and pepper, and that's just ready to go. Right, on to the pastry. So here we are, the pastry's cooled down somewhat now, and it will be a lot easier to handle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in there with my hands and start clearing that up. And you'll feel it at this stage, it's really nice and malleable. And because it's slightly warm, it's also very nice, kind of soothing and comfortable to handle. I quite like it. Right, let's get that out of the way. And then I'll give it a bit of a knead. I like to do it on this stone surface because it's okay. You don't need to go too mad with it. And then what I like to do is I'm going to split that dough kind of in half, and then I'm going to roll that out. And what I got here is that nice springform pie tin I've shown you before. Now you can go to the effort of lining that with paper, but this one is pretty good, and this kind of dough, it really comes away nicely. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do the walls. So I'm going to separate that out, and simply I'm just going to spread it and press it against the walls. Alright, so there it is. The pie filling, the pie crust is in. And then what I want to do is just fill it with some greaseproof paper, some baking sheet, and get all my baking beads in there. And what I'll do is I'll just put that into my oven at 180 degrees Celsius, which is about 350 degrees Fahrenheit, for about 10 to 15 minutes. I'll keep my eye on it, and then we'll pull it out when it's ready. So there we are. As you see, just the edges there are quite nice and browned, which is good. That's about as much as we want at this stage. So I'll keep the oven hot, and then we'll transfer these to something safe. So there we are. And then into there we'll go, first of all I want one layer of turkey. So I'm going to put in a few slices of turkey in there. And then what I want to do is I want to intersperse a bit of red meat. Most people I know prefer, I don't know why, but they seem to prefer the breast meat. I prefer the red myself. I mean, you can make this with all breast meat if you like, because we are putting gravy in to moisten it up. But the red meat is, or the leg meat, is much more moist. It doesn't dry up so quickly. I want to get half of my turkey in the first portion. Yes, I'm going to love this pie. But you've already seen it, right? Because what happens is I make this pie and then I'll photograph it and that becomes the thumbnail. So you guys already know something I don't know. You know what this looks like. And then I'm kind of happy that that's nice and flat. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly press it down with my hands. And then the next thing I want to do is get some moisture onto that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in some of my nice gravy, which you'll see has cooled down and gone quite thick. So I'm just going to put that. Now I might not need all this gravy, just need enough to keep the pie nice and wet. So the most we want to use on this stage is half anyway. I'm quite happy with that. That's kind of nice and moist on that end. So now we've got our entire batch of stuffing, which I can just drop in there and press down. And this is a wonderful, wonderful way to use up any excess turkey you've got left over. And even if you've got stuffing left over, I mean, it's just a pie that you make with what's left over from your... So no wastage at all. It's just a wonderful, wonderful pie. So you see what I'm doing? I'm using sort of the back of my fingers now to push it down. And there we go, look. So it still stays in the form. It's not come out of the form yet. Just blind baked it. Just partially blind baked it. And then the next step is more turkey. So if you like this video, please give me a like, because it really helps me out. If you think I deserve a cup of coffee, you can go and buy me a cup of coffee. It's in the description below this video. And all donations to that are gratefully received. But I'll probably spend any money I get on ingredients to make some more videos for you, because that's kind of the way I roll. And don't forget to subscribe. You know, if you it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe, and it really helps us poor struggling YouTubers out if you do. So that will be much appreciated. So I've got a little bit left, but I'm not going to use that. I don't need that. Right, so the next thing I want to do is get that moistened up with a little bit more gravy. And the other good thing about the gravy is it will jellify a little bit, because it's made from all the bones. So we're not wasting anything. This is a great case of what I call emmering, which you get from my friend Emma in Nova Scotia, because she doesn't waste anything. She uses every little last bit. And it's a great way to go through life, boys and girls, not throwing food away and making something yummy out of every little bit of it. So I think that's about right. So what's left of that gravy and what's left of that turkey are going to be a little snackette for me later on. Right, so now we need to get to the final stage of this wonderful, wonderful pie by giving that a crowning glory of delicious cranberry sauce. Alright, you see I've dripped a bit of cranberry in there already. And I'm just going to upend this whole jar, because I'm going to need more than this. I'm definitely going to need more than this. So, and I'll spread it out. I don't want it too thin. This is a particularly nice one. This is from Co-op cranberry sauce. Look at the gorgeous colour of that. It's just awesome. So you're going to need about 250 mils. I'm probably going to get a bit greedy and put all this on. Yeah, so I've used rather more than the 250 ml I originally stated on this. And what I've used is 380 grams in total. But if you live in the United States, I've seen the massive ocean spray jars of cranberry sauce, and I think you might not quite get through one of those in doing this. But two of these little 190 gram, 380 grams of cranberry sauce is just perfect for this. So the last thing I want to do is just spread that out nicely. Make sure it's covering the surface with a nice even cover of cranberry. And then the last stage in this process is I take that gorgeous looking object, put it back in the oven at 180 degrees, which is around 350 Fahrenheit, and I think I'm going to watch it, but I'm going to put it in for about another 15 minutes, and I'm just going to go over that nicely now with my step spatula. I bought this after seeing my friend Fiona from Gracious Treats making her wonderful cakes, and it just made me realise how useful a spatula like this is, because it steps down and you can give a nice flat surface on something like this. It's such a great tool. It cost me next to nothing. I think this is linked in my kitchen utensils below the video on my Amazon influencer list. So there we go. That's that. And into the oven with that little baby. Oh yes. Oh yes. Okay. That does look good. Right, I'm going to let that cool down a little bit now, and then I'll be able to release it from the springform, and then we'll have a good look at it, shall we? Right, this has cooled down sufficiently, and it looks like, oh, it's released all right. Let's get that off. Oh, it'll split down the side, but that's not going to break anybody's heart, is it? With a split there where I joined all the pieces a lot. So maybe in retrospect I should have ironed it, rolled it out flat and then put it in, but it's not going to make a huge big difference on that. Okay, this is a pie that you eat cold, so I'm going to leave that now to cool off completely before I slice it. For me, that wait will be agony. For you, it will be seconds. Hey friends, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you would like to follow my channel, please subscribe, and don't forget to click the bell icon and select all to receive notifications for all my future videos. It would be great to hear from you in the comments, and I'll try to get back to as many of you as possible. You may wish to check out these titles or even help me out with a donation using the links in the description below the video. Thanks for watching.